All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started here. So we wait for more folks come on in. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for Planting Disabled Futures. I'm here with Dr. Petra Kuppers and Dr. Laura Murphy from the University of Michigan. And they're going to tell us about this quite colorful, quite fantastic multimodal VR experience developed to share energy, liveliness, ongoingness, crip joy, and experiences of pain. Uh, this is, I think, a really exciting project and one that I think gets a lot more into the emotional than a lot of ours do, which I'm really excited about. Just for some brief introductions, Dr. Kuppers is a disability culture activist, writer, dance video maker, and community performance artist. She grounds herself in disability culture methods, uses somatics, performance, speculative writing, and media to engage audiences towards more socially just and enjoyable futures. She also teaches at the University of Michigan as the Anita Gonzalez Collegiate Professor of Performance Studies and Disability Culture. And Dr. Laura Murphy is an expert on inclusive design processes who helps engineers across industries center people more intentionally during design. She earned her PhD from the Design Science program at the University of Michigan, with her dissertation being titled Pursuing Inclusive Engineering Design, Centering People, Exploring Diverse Perspectives, and Promoting Divergent Thinking. So I'd love everybody to please welcome our speakers and take it away.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you so much for
yeah,
having us.
absolutely. So, yeah, the plan today is I'm going to offer a few minutes of just some framing that might be useful for the more technical crowd and maybe some signposts for what you might notice. And then Petra's going to take 15-20 minutes to share some videos to tell more about the project. But yes, essentially, we're going to share a project that Petra has put together with a brilliant team of collaborators over the last year or so called Planting Disabled Futures. And I want to talk about some differences as an expert in design processes. We're going to talk about differences in the artifacts of this project. So differences in the actual design approaches or processes, and then difference in some of the outcomes of this design process that Petra and her team have taken. So if we start with artifacts, I think maybe traditionally an artifact in a VR space might be, or just an engineering space in general, might be some technical drawings, some CAD models, some prototyping of increasing fidelity. So I want you to notice maybe some of the artwork that Petra will share, some multimedia engagement. She has a little plushie she just had on screen that's part of this VR experience. So it comes into this physical world beyond the virtual. Um, some of the differences in processes involve some progressively developing prototypes and video demos, and those are really centered around community engagement, using those community performance methods of which Petra is an absolute expert, and then having those interactions actually inform future design decisions. So one of the parts of the world that you'll see is these little critters. She has the 3D one, but there's some virtual little critters that fly around this beautiful planted disable world. And when in sharing this project with all sorts of folks, people were so delighted by these cute little critters that we ended up, she ended up making that a focus of the technical development. And then for differences in outcomes, this project is not for competition. It's not for gaming. She has a beautiful introduction to the world where she says, this world's focus is on connecting relationships, not on competitive fitness. Here we celebrate life and its essential play, not the capitalist nature of your contribution. You, I, the tree, we are all a web of improvising relations. There's nothing to win here but contact. So you may notice there's more community building rather than isolation that you might find through traditional VR engagement, plant engagement and adoration rather than plant destruction. So I just wanted to frame a couple of those things you might notice as Petra is sharing about the project.
That was lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. I so appreciate having you on board. So, Laura is the tech consultant. We've been playing together for many years, and it's been really nice to have her come on board as someone who helps me translate my kind of work, which is really much more out of the arts environment into your kinds of environments. So I love that. I'm really glad that we get to work together. Thank you. So, yes, I'm now going to share with you what this all looks like. What is this thing that we've just played up? And yes, here's the sweet little tardigrade to share with you. I'm going to throw into, well, first of all, I'm giving you my audio description, So here's me, Petra, she, her. I'm a white disabled woman of size who's hanging out in a artist residency in Virginia right now. I have silver-pelled hair and I have green glasses and pink lipstick. And I'm wearing a full-on hippie shirt here, so very appropriate to what I'm sharing with you. And yes, and that is already opening us up into multiple access provisions that hopefully are also portals into other kinds of experiences. So I put in the chat the slide deck. I just made a new one because I just figured out what a slide deck is for design purposes. Again, this is not quite the same thing that we usually use in my kind of environments, but I now have a slide deck of 11 slides, so it feels very, 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 possible. I'm going to put that on. Actually, I'm not going to put that on. I'm just going to go to the very first fly through, so you get a sense of what I'm even talking about. And in order to do that, I have multiple screens on here. And here is the first one. Okay. So let me share this with you. So this is a fly through of the project. You all should be able to see this okay, I hope. Yeah. It says your screen sharing is paused. I do not know why it keeps doing that. So
I think we can see it all right.
you can see it? Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
well, it just went away now.
Yeah. Here we go. You can see that?
It's
It
loading
just
out.
doesn't,
Not quite, it's loading.
it says click to exit full screen. And it says my screen sharing is paused. I don't know. Could this be a DuckDuckGo thing? Because that's what I'm using right now.
If you're sharing the full screen
Yeah,
with sound,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to
then it
do.
shouldn't be dependent on browser, I think.
No, okay,
No,
I'm trying
If you
to.
want to,
my experience was when you have multiple screens, like you're talking about, when you have a bunch of stuff, it's acting. You have to find the original one and stop it in order to then share again. That's what I found when I was doing Zoom.
How
There,
about
it's back.
you
there we
can
go.
Yeah,
see
we
that?
can
We can
see
see
that.
that.
All right, I will now make this large and hope it still works. Can you still see it?
It
Just tell me, say
paused.
yes or no?
Yeah, it's
No.
frozen on the full screen button.
I
Oh, interesting. I've never seen Vimeo not
Right?
working
Isn't
well.
this bizarre? It's all new. Like, you know how they keep changing
Is
things.
it the visual forward pathway? Because I could try sharing on my screen.
Yes, please do that. Let's
Let's
do
give it
that.
a shot.
So the first one is the visual forward pathway. Thank you so
I'll
much.
give it a shot.
Thank you. So let's just enjoy hanging out in this
Okay.
little world.
How about now?
Okay, that's
Still
that's working.
Perfect.
okay,
Thank you.
great. Then here we go.
Planting Disabled Futures fly through February 2025. The core 3D tree with pink leaves, purple trunks, mushrooms, fireflies. You move through this environment, around deep into the roots, and everywhere are portals. And you can access these portals and look inside them. We're flying with fireflies. More mushrooms, more trees, the trunk, up into the canopy and into one of the portals. And there we're seeing a 360 video environment at the level of the roots, at the level of the soil.
I am touching a bamboo, which feels like someone has written something here, and I don't know what that is. And I feel the texture of bamboo is really interesting to me. I put this leaf. Bamboo reminds me of home. That's why I love bamboo. And I'm touching the leaves one by one.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah, someone else is sharing. You can stop the sharing. Thank you. And I will now go hopefully to my own and tell you a little bit more about it now that you have a little bit of a glimpse of what it is that I'm even talking about. I'm still in this weird exit full screen. Okay, all good. Of course, I would be having technical difficulties as I'm talking to you guys. It's just like hilarious to me. Here we go. So here's my slideshow. Right. So here's, and I'm just not going to go to full screen. I don't know what is up with my thing, but I think, can you see this okay? Just let me know if there's trouble reading it. So that is the project. So it's a beautiful virtual reality experience that invites you into a world of healing plants and interplay with disabled people's embodied ways of knowing. And I think you just got a beautiful sense of that with Aquila touching the bamboo and audio describing the bamboo experience for you. So Aquila is a blind dancer, and we met at the Huntington Gardens in California when I was in residency there. And we shot this little video. And that's what I did with many different people, with 18 individual appointments actually. And I invited people to take me to their favorite plants and to tell me something about the plants, or to just be in a quiet, non-speaking relationship with the plants. And both of those experiences are at the heart of what eventually became Planting Disabled Futures, which is quiet and meditative. So it's an immersive and modular VR platform. So that's really important to me. I am my own artist. Obviously, I do create work, but I'm also in the main a community performance artist. So throughout my career, I've been working with many different disabled people. I myself have a pain-related disability and mobility difference. And so I experience my world often in that very slow, meditative approach. I work on the edge of a car park. I work on, in kind of these edge spaces where I can park, I can drive my car, I can park and I walk a few hundred yards. And then for instance, right now I'm playing a lot with rocks. So I have here these rocks of Virginia that I'm drawing right now. So that is a very common way for me to work, and many of the people I work with are in a similar position. So sharing ourselves, sharing our joy and our beauty in these small ways is something that's really important to us. So we're centering disabled people's ways of knowing and making, providing them with ways to dream in environmental and technological connection. So many different people have submitted material for the Planting Disabled Futures World. So we have that gorgeous tree created by Danny Vincent, who's our lead designer. And you can fly around in there and see critters. I'll show you the more recent fly through in a minute. And then all the portals have this gorgeous material in it. Some of it which I have shot. Some people have given to me finished pieces that are in there. So some are 360 videos, lots of different material came through. We think of this as an accessible, co-created, joyful journey. There's multiple experimental modes, many different ways in which you can experience this world. It's modular so that many people can become creators. And it's also non-realist. It's trying to be aware of its energy usage and of installation requirements and of a smaller footprint. So as you'll see in a minute, we can take this headset right into the middle of a forest. We do not need to be connected when we are sharing our headsets, because everything is small enough to fit onto one headset. And that's really important to me because so many people I work with, particularly people in the MAD community, but also others, feel a strong sense that they don't want to be surveyed. Their experience of technology is often around surveillance. And so having something that's completely untethered from the web is quite important for people to feel safe enough to enter into the experience. We have various ways in which we've tried to make this as accessible as possible. And we did not go down the route of making like individual controllers for individual people, which we are very aware is a common way in which designers work with disabled people. At the University of Michigan, we have many people who work that way. It's a common way for students to create a project, of course. Instead, we've tried to just have multiple ways in which people just work. So you can do the whole thing with just one controller, which if you are experienced VR users and you're used to having two controls, you probably find this a bit weird. You can still have your two controls. We give you the two controls, so don't worry about it. If you want to have them, we'll give them to you. But most of the people that I share the headset with have never had a headset on in their lives, don't even know what this is, what is this thing. And so then having just one controller is very helpful. And many of us, with very few exceptions, have some kind of hand control. So we are then able to use whatever hands, whatever fingers we happen to have to operate this one control. We also can move in there through head control. So if hand control is indeed not possible, then we also have head movements you can do. We're trying to tell people not to overdo it so they don't get seasick, which of course many of us get virtual reality sick, right? So that's like a big part of trying to create an accessible environment to really think about what is virtual reality sickness and how can we hold against that. We have haptic engagements in there, one of which is, once again, the tardigrade. Here she is. Hi. Hi, little tardigrade. So when you're in our experience, you have a headset on. When you come out of the headset, the access doula that we have will give you a creature, like this tiny little plush creature. Some of them are bigger, some are smaller. And you get to hold this as a transitional object, which is really helpful to manage that transition from virtual space back into real space. People really talk to us about how lovely it is and how nice it is to have someone care for you this way and give you this. And you have a little engagement with the access doula around this as well. We have subtitles, you already heard audio descriptions, and the overall experience is immersive, relaxing meditation. The way we share this is sort of the opposite of being alone in a virtual reality headset, which again is, I think, for many of us, the experience. I first encountered virtual reality when I had an operation, like a belly operation. I had to lie flat for a really long period of time. And I bought myself a headset in order to access, to kind of help myself get mobile again, get my muscles going. And that is, I think, many disabled people's experience of virtual reality. It's often with a therapeutic angle. So it's really interesting to think differently about what VR could be. So the way that we share is we create house parties. So I had to think long and hard about how do we share this thing? We don't want to buy 8 headsets. That's a lot of money. And I can't carry it because I can only carry what I can put on my little scooter, my little wheelchair scooter when I'm traveling. So there's a limit to how much I can lug about. So I usually just take 1, sometimes 2 headsets. And we have little house parties of 4 to 8 people. And we go through a ritual. We ask people about who their plant elders are. We have this whole storytelling circle where we get to talk about who our plant elders are. I'm going to ask you that right now. So those of you who are here, think a little bit about who your plant elders are. And then if you feel like sharing that, please drop it into the chat and I will read it out. I think that'll be a very nice preparation for the next fly through. So who are your plant elders? What do you think you hear when I say plant elders? So we all do that. We think about that together, and then we talk about that. And then we put on the headset. We're all sitting together and chatting. One person at a time has the headset on, and the rest of us just chat away. So it's like this semi-immersion, semi out of it. That you're never fully immersed in the headset, which I think particularly people who identify around different kinds of autism related stuff, neurodiversity, different kinds of people with neurodiverse experiences said that they find it very useful to be both in and out, to have options in how far they want to go into that immersion space. You can always hear other people talking while you're having this experience. The focus is on access intimacy and crip improvisation, community building, social engagement. I'm going to stop reading the stuff out at you and instead show you some pictures. And then after that, I will read out. Yes, the lovely plant elders that are coming through. I'm so glad you're putting them in. Thank you. So here's one of the ways in which we share. So it's headsets, and you see zero gravity chairs. And when I say zero gravity chairs, some people think I'm talking about some astronaut chairs, zero gravity. People think, whoa, high tech, which is usually what you find in a virtual reality public experience. I was just at the Denver Zoo, and they had these massive, huge chairs that provide vibrotactile stimulation when you're sitting in them, costing about, $10,000 each or something. And all it does, it just vibrates a little bit. Not sure about that. Um, our zero gravity chairs cost $100, and you get them at the local garden center. It basically just means that thing that goes, you can put your legs up, and we put plushy stuff on top of that. And that's been a really nice way of sharing, giving people an experience of lying down, but also being able to sit up when they feel like it. So that's our zero gravity chairs. And here is a house party. This was our very first one. This was in a beautiful house party in Harlem, in New York City. We were invited by the couple. You've just heard the music in the first fly through. This is Mikhail Malibu Banks, who is a very well-known Afrofuturist musician. And he provided this beautiful sound, ambient sound environment for us. And he and his wife, Desiree Malibu Banks, who is an artist who provided work for us, invited us to their gorgeous home, which is full of these wonderful mementos. So being able to trial out the headsets in that space was really quite gorgeous. And then here's another way of sharing. This was like one of those where we're not connected to Wi-Fi, we're not connected to an electricity box, anything. We're at a house party outdoors. It's a queer clothing exchange in Ypsilanti, Michigan, my hometown. And other ways of sharing here is the Petra Performance Space, which is in LA. This was part of Crip, so some of you probably are familiar with Crip, the Leonardo people. So they and I have played together very fruitfully and with much fun. They had a haptics laboratory a little while back, and I was able to participate in that. And yeah, so that was the sharing of the haptics lab. Very fun. All right. My team, I just want to, and I've shared the slide deck with everybody so you can see. I want to make sure I just honor everybody who's in it, particularly Danielle Vincenz. Yeah. And then at the end is the contact information and what we want to do. The whole thing is supported by a Just Tech fellowship. So yay, Just Tech, thank you very much. I'm sure some of you have heard of Just Tech. They also have another round coming up eventually, pretty soon, I think. I don't know when it's getting released, but they will have another bunch of fellowships coming. And I very much encourage people from the disability community to go for them, because they have really been extremely helpful, wonderfully open in allowing me to really find a way in which I can share this work in a way that the work wants to be shared. Like house parties is not normally the first thing that comes to mind when you think about how to how to disseminate a big project. But it's been a really wonderful way of sharing. We will eventually have it on the Meta world. We're kind of in the process of putting it on there. If anybody here has been involved with the Meta Quest store front, you probably know that that's not an easy process. And we have the Innovations Office at the University of Michigan who are ushering us through that, and it feels incredibly way more complicated than it has to be, but whatever. What do I know about it? Hopefully it'll get up there. But if anybody, we do have an APK that it's ready. It's still the audio version, which I'm going to share with you at the end here now, is still in beta, in the kind of early stages. But we are very happy to share an APK with you. So if any of you want to try it and see how it works with the people you work with, or if you're interested yourself, we're very happy to hand it out. So our intention is to get this out to as many people as possible. All right, I'm now going to go and read out the beautiful little glimpses of plant elders. We have a tall oak. Thank you. I often use an oak. Yes, every time I try to use a different one, but being a German person, the oak comes in a lot. Interesting, so comes Christopher shares all garlic bulbs and weeping willows. And a weeping willow is something I also often refer to. Isn't it interesting how so many of us have an immediate sense of whom we talk about when we say plant elder? It's such an abstract concept, but people really respond. A great oak in our backyard, majestic redwoods. Beautiful. There's an unkillable citrus tree in our backyard we've named Rasputin. That comes to mind. I love that. Yes, that's great. That seems like a really nice way of thinking about disabled people as well, right? We're just making it unkillable, making our way through. Crab apple trees that have beautiful pink petals in the spring. Oh, I love that. That's gorgeous. Great. Lovely. And yes, someone said they would love a build. Great. We'll find a way of connecting so we get the APK to you. Dylan, do you want to just run for me? I'm going to stop share here. Do you want, hi there. Do you want to run for me the new audio version, which I literally got this morning, So
Certainly.
I've played it exactly once. So Danny just finished this one.
Well,
Before you play, I'm going to explain a little bit.
Oh, yeah, please.
So obviously VR, many of us probably associate that with very much vision forward, right? I mean, right? We have the headset on. But a headset also allows us to have that directed sound, like we have spatialized sound in the headsets, and which is something you can't quite easily do with just having some earplugs in, but you can do it in the headset. So we've tried to come up with what I think most of us think of as an incredibly fun way of echolocation. And I know many people have tried echolocation. I don't know if you've ever tried echolocation. If you're a visual person and you try echolocation, you might get very confused. I am like medium in this one. Like I have one collaborator who's sighted, our dramaturge, who's a neurodiverse person. She is amazing. She can use echolocation to get to anything. I'm like amazed. I'm sort of in the middle. I can sort of get there. I have another sighted collaborator, Stephanie, who's a bipolar person, who is just she just laughs. She just can't find anything with echolocation. It's very interesting when visual people try to, access a different mode, a different sensory mode. We've had a bunch of blind and visually impaired people try it out, and we all different. We all have different results, but it's been super fun to just play with this. So what you do, you have your one controller, remember, just one, and you press the button on the side, and it pings as if you're a whale or a bat. And in the audio pathway, we have 4 portals, and we had to kind of, in the other one, we have a lot more portals, but it was near impossible for most of us to find our way to multiple portals on different levels with echolocation. So at the moment, we have 4, and it's possible to find them. That is great. That's about as far as it goes right now. And it's really, really fun to do. And the visual forward one also has audio description all over the place. So it's not as if you have to decide between one and the other. They both are designed to be incredibly joyful in whatever way you access them. So here's the audio forward journey that the version I just received this morning, and it'll be good to see it. Thank you, Dylan.
All right.
You are next to a tree. The trunk is purple and veering above you in beautiful sinuous forms. And the foliage is pink. And all around you are rocks. And buzzing through the scene are golden fireflies, which trace their arcs around you. You are next to a set of lilac mushrooms, translucent and luminous. They're living here in this tree world, and they welcome you under their umbrellas. water and creatures emerging, and a light bulb and carrots floating up and down. A person's legs, women's legs, circle around the generative core of the light bulb as images float in and out. A biological shaped bulb, female body, eyes.
Yay. Thank you. Okay. Yay. Yeah, we're sitting in that little pool. I know. I think that's why there's the waterfall noise. Like when I first saw it, what is that? It's the waterfall. We're sitting in Danny's waterfall. Danny loves the waterfall. I love the waterfall too. It's great. So yeah, and I think when, as you can probably imagine, if when you have the headset on, the sounds are more separated. Like it's all compressed because we're just watching it in this two-channel way here, but that's all spatialized in a way that makes it a little bit more accessible. And yeah, but I think it's working now. I'm very excited. Laura, did you try our first? I can't remember. Did you try our first version of the audio and we all got completely lost?
I don't think so, no.
It was very hilarious. That was last summer, but I think this looks like a way more sophisticated and doable pathway. And yeah, so it's very similar to the other version. The other version has also portals up and down, so you can use different buttons to go up and down and find different portals, and you have like echoey sounds when you get down into the cavern. Anyway, I think that is my little presentation on planting disabled woods. I love to hear your questions. And hello, Pussycat. Suzanne and the Pussycat. Hi, Liz. Go ahead.
Hi, it's wonderful I've seen some of the videos. It's lovely to actually see some of the in-depth and your descriptions behind it. My question was, what was and has been the role of disabled artists and others in creating this piece, and how are you including their voices to decide, oh, that audio sound near the portal is not too much for somebody with stimulation and sensitivity issues. That would be annoying for some people, whatever, right? Like those things how do you involve the people that are impacted by the experience?
Lovely. Thank you. Yeah, I would say we are 80% of us are disabled. I mean, we actually kind of have a little bit of a hard time to figure out who's even non-disabled in the team. It's actually been very interesting once the team got together. At the beginning, I didn't even know why people got involved. Because the tech world isn't necessarily one where people are immediately out. I want to be a bit careful in how I narrate that here as well, because people's livelihoods, right? But once we started working, most people who are collaborating are actually disabled in really interesting ways. So that was very fascinating. So the whole team, basically, there's a handful of people who are non-disabled, but they really are just like by far the minority. But of course, we all have very different disabilities. So sensory sensitivities, as the ones you're talking about, are something we have to think about. So we have some people who are like someone identifies with ADHD, and I think the tree is very much designed to be ADHD friendly. And we've now tried it with hundreds of people with many different disabilities, and that's come back many times that quite a few people who identify around ADHD find the particular contrasts and the kind of multiplicity of options very comforting and accessible. And I don't identify around that. So I didn't even know that. It was just one of these interesting things that you only find out as you're bringing this to the people. So we just talk quite a bit about sensory access, of course, and that's just really interesting. Which sighted and which non-sighted people can do what, and finding what interesting is very interesting. We are all different. Our dramaturge is neurodiverse with a relatively lower threshold for sensory stimulation, so we had to kind of figure out some of those things, like the strong pinging, right? My sense was that We hear it louder here than it is actually in the actual in the headset, because you have that differentiation. It doesn't sound quite as bang, it's not quite as much in your face. Yeah, so I mean, there's always it's not it's ex it aims to be accessible to a vast range of people. I think it has been accessible to a vast range of people, and we have all these multiple ways of working. There's one video in it. I could show that to you actually. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to like see whether people have other questions, and then if people want to, I can show you another portal or so. But we have people who cannot use the headset at all. So we have some people, like somebody who had a stroke, and who is just, it's impossible to put the headset on. But she contributed a beautiful video, and we made like a poem, and we made a video together, which is now in here, and she can access the audio only version if she completely closes her eyes, which of course she can. There's no reason to open your eyes when you're in this thing. So she can just use the spatialized audio, and that is accessible to her for a minute or two. That's also the other thing that's helpful, because we are in this circle when we're sharing it. It doesn't matter if you're only in it for a minute. It just, none of this. I would not recommend that anybody hang out in this for longer than a quarter of an hour, because unless you're really used to VR, I get sick. I mean, I'm actually a really good guinea pig. I get sick all the time in VR. But usually the 10 minutes, quarter of an hour is accessible to the vast majority of people. And people usually know early on if it's not accessible to them, and then you just take it off, and then you just watch other people do it, laugh at them, going, ooh, and just have that kind of communal conversation. So I think I love that about the house party, that it's not just about you and the technology. It's a shared environment. It's really a very sweet way of sharing. Thanks for the question,
Petra,
Liz. Nice
I
to see
wanted
you.
to add, Petra, that
Mhm.
like the first video we saw was a much earlier version. And Petra, you've been sharing this since day one, right? And I think that's something a lot of engineers and technicians can be afraid to do, is share like an early, unfinished, messy version. And I think that's been a really beautiful way that you've engaged with, like you said, hundreds of different people, because you've been sharing it since you started, since before the project had even really started.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. That's certainly, I don't even know, but yes, it's not like a thing. It's not like a thing that has to be finished. In a way, the moment it's finished is probably when I'm getting least interested in it, because then it's like released, and I love my little parties. Thanks so much for the question, Liz. Nice to see you. And Christopher. Oh, wait,
Actually, I
Suzanne.
think
I can't see who's
Suzanne
first. Suzanne,
was
sorry, my
first
dear.
up. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a board member who uses VR to watch movies because he has very little vision. So how do you get a house party? That's
I'm
kind of
having
what
a
I want
hard
to.
time.
You
Your
can tell me later.
microphone. Could you say that again? The microphone doesn't pick up too well. I can't hear you well.
Sure. Is this better? Can you hear me better now?
A little
Hmm.
bit. Yeah.
Sorry, let me just check one thing. Christopher, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, tech. Great. Thank you so much. It's lovely work. Quick question. So, and I'm sure you said this, my 51-year-old brain didn't grab it. How long has the project been going? Just out of curiosity.
It's now in its second year.
Second.
So it
Okay.
started about like the first material was shot at the beginning of last year.
Mm,
And since then it's been slowly building. So the first
mm.
fly through was ready in about February this year. So before that we
Oh,
just been building up for it. And then since then we had a bunch of different versions. And as I said this morning, I got this next version of the audio fly through.
amazing.
We
And
hope to
with
have it released
mm,
by the summer, depending on how the meta store goes, right? But that's the idea. And I
always a
have a
journey.
bunch of production residencies coming up. So I'm going to be at UC Berkeley, at
Mm,
Kenyon College, at Bennington College, at Ohio State. So those will all be places where I get to hopefully play with people.
lovely. And it's
Yes.
specifically
Oh,
around
Susan,
this.
I love running a house party. Just let me know where it is, and I am very happy to. I love to come and do a house party. Yes. We adore it. So all these places that I mentioned will have house parties.
Amazing. And quick question about your echolocation. Is it now, I mean, is it only on that audio build, or is it also so I guess is the echolocation like sort of toggleable, or is it a separate experience that you've added it onto?
It's when you're in, you have a menu as you enter into it where you choose the visual forward pathway or the audio forward pathway. So it doesn't get added on top, you know. Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
like
So
two different
and it,
experiences, but you can get in and out of each of those.
okay, lovely. And you said the echolocation is mapped to one of the triggers, is that right?
Yes, there is like the side one on the
Yeah.
controller that's like bing, 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 bing. Yes, and
Lovely.
we got to figure out how you can get into that if you know like if you indeed have no visual access, of course that's always like an exciting thing, right? How the hell do you get in given that XR is so incredibly visual? So
Yeah.
that's going to be one of those exciting things we're figuring out as we're doing the meta version. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you.
Suzanne, I think it was your headphones or something, right? I mean, I have that. Some of my headphones have terrible pickup.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
This one usually works, but
I can hear you now, I think.
you can hear me?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I wrote it in the chat too, but yeah, he is my particular board member. So he watches movies in VR because it gets the screen close enough to his face that he can see it. So I'm just wondering about spatially. I don't even know how that works. To be honest, I'm the live theater director, but in terms of bringing things closer than most people would experience it. I'm just curious about that. And I really do want to do a house party with him because I don't know if you come to the DC area or if you come special. I don't know, but he
We
would.
could figure it out. I'm sure,
Yeah.
DC area doesn't sound like a place that we could probably find somebody who can have us out. So I think we can figure that out. But yes, so that is really nice, what you're asking. So some of these are 2D videos, obviously, right? So the thing you saw with Aquila, 2D video, and I love getting really close in. It's a very different experience, as your person knows, to watch something a 2D experience in a 3D headset is very different from just watching it on a screen. And yes, you can use the joystick to just get really close into it. So and that is a very sweet experience. I very much enjoy that. So myself actually, and yeah, you can go far away and have it. So again, Liz, your question about sensory overstimulation, you can also have that choice of being further away and see it that way, and then you can go in and see it really close around you. I think it's actually a very sweet way of engaging. So we have 2D videos in there, 3D videos, and then we also have dream journeys, which are just audio. Might have one static image, or like one is a whole lilac experience. You see nothing but lilac all around you, and you're going on an audio journey. That is one that's actually very calming. If you're getting a bit overstimulated, why don't you just go into the one that's just all lilac and there's nothing else? It's inspired by Eilison Olafur, the Icelandic artist who creates these experiences where you just see light around you and they're just incredibly calming and you're just going on a dream journey, which is nice. But yes, Suzanne, I'm sure we can figure that out. Thank you. And Brian, I think, right? Are you next?
Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so I had two questions. One for you, Petra, and the one is kind of a technical question that maybe Laura can answer. First one for you. You mentioned the use of the tardigrade plushie, like giving that to individuals to like sort of ease their experience when they leave virtual reality. Is there any like conversation or research on that, or is that an anecdotal thing that you found?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I haven't seen any research around transitional objects and VR, but I think my personal research, which is now supported by hundreds of users, is that people really like it. And I haven't just this one. This is just one of them. I also have a moth, like there's a company that makes like tiny critters in like what's the word? Like really realistic. So I have an isopod. I don't have it with me because I'm in this artist residency here, but I have this gray isopod, which is adorable. And it's like it has all the segments. When I say isopod, like pill bug, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so it is so cute. Yeah, the isopod, Laura, absolutely. I love the isopod. It's a little bit too big to carry it around with me everywhere, but it's very adorable. And I do think people find it very, very nice to have that. We also have tactile objects as one. This is not going to be in the Meta Quest one because in the Meta store, unfortunately, sadly. But in the house parties, I have like these wax tablets that have rose petals and crystals embedded in them. And when you get into a particular portal, it says, raise your hand or whatever, or get your access doula to give you something. So you still have your headset on, you can't see what they're giving you, but they give you this tablet that is rose petals covered in wax, and you touch it, and it feels like human skin. It's really beautiful, and you're watching a video about the making of this tablet. So you don't see it's not a direct connection, but it's a relatively direct connection, and it's very sensual. It's beautiful. And I wish I could just send
Okay.
it to every Meta user who's using that.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I'm PhD student doing some research here, and I'm gonna have a virtual reality project aimed at wheelchair users. We're hoping to test this coming spring, and I don't know how many participants we'll get, but I was interested if they should include a feature like that.
Yeah, it might be really interesting to test it out. I mean, it depends on, I'm just finding it really interesting to think about the levels of immersion and how, I mean, if access intimacy is the main thing I'm after, rather than technical this, that, and the other, how do I create that sense of intimacy, that sense of being cared for? Access doula is someone who helps you into the headset, helps you out of the headset. What are the kind of the contours of the whole package of engagement? So how can we use a crip aesthetic to frame the whole VR experience? Hmm.
All right.
Thank you,
I'm aware
Brian.
we're chicken, but a lot of times, so just quick question, maybe Laura can answer this. You mentioned the Meta store. Is there any plan to like try to put this on Steam? Personally, as a wheelchair user with a neuromuscular disorder, I like using Steam VR for the plugins, and there's also walk-in VR, which is only usable on Steam. So, is there any plan of that you're aware of?
Not that I know of. I know that there's some features and technical decisions built into the APK that, the using one hand, being able to use your head to fly. There's no substantial like colliders in the environment, so it's very difficult to get stuck anywhere. There's really no way to fail or no time limit, no reaction really based on the mechanics. So in that way, it's somewhat fail-proof. And also, there's features that they're hoping to add, such like the guided tour mode, a teleportation mode, a vignetting to reduce motion sickness, visual settings menu. So there's these other features that are like oncoming, but not within different software that I know of.
Yeah, no,
All right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you have the
I don't
floor.
really
Thank
exactly
you
know
very
what you asked
much.
there, but sorry, Brian.
I was saying I yield the floor. Thank you both very much.
And Dylan, you have a question.
Yeah. I was very curious when it came to the creation process. One of the things that we've been trying to do at XR Access is make sure that XR isn't just available for people with disabilities to consume, but also to be creative about, right? To be creators of. Um, and so I'm very curious what your collaboration process looked like. Where were the bottlenecks where you maybe needed people with either more technical skills or with certain abilities to help you kind of take the vision and put it into the technology? And if there's anything in your mind that, we could do or Steam, Meta could do or any of these platforms could do to make that process easier and make it so that more disabled creators could kind of have at.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was actually quite interesting how many disabled creators got on board as soon as I put the call out. So I had a call out in the wider community. I don't know if you guys saw those, might not have gotten to you guys, but I think it got to quite a few people in different countries as well. And I had a lot of people contact me who have these kinds of skills. So there's a team out in Canada who sent us a beautiful 360 video that was ready to be plugged in right into our tree with not much trouble at all. There is a someone at Georgia Tech worked with us and plugged in lots and lots of students who created some of the critters, which are now making this critter universe. We had a neurodiverse composer who created some beautiful music for us. So people just kept offering things. And at the beginning, I thought it's going to be hard to find a disabled developer, because I didn't know. I mean, only because I didn't know a disabled developer, basically. It was just not in my particular wheelhouse. But then, my developer is disabled. Most of my development team is disabled. There's literally only one person on the VR side who doesn't identify as disabled. Um, and it wasn't particularly hard. I think this is a question that some of my team would have to answer, what their experiences are of the tech world. My experience, again, remember, I'm coming from a different place and I need to be careful in how I characterize people. I think there is more of a stigma maybe in the tech world coming out as disabled than there is in the art world. I mean, there's plenty of stigma still in the art world, but I'm hesitant to map who it is onto what kind of disability because I don't want to out them. If they were here with me giving this talk, I imagine quite a lot of them would actually be out, but when we first got together, we had to have quite a few meetings before they really came out to me. And they came out with significant disabilities. We're not talking just some like minor little thing around the edge there, but like serious stuff. But it's not necessarily part of their bio the way that it is part of the bio of many of the artists that have plugged themselves into this. Does that make sense? So I think what I'm saying in a nutshell is there might still be a lot more stigma around disabled tech developers. That is something to address.
Yeah,
But
and
we found each other.
relatedly, yeah, relatedly, I think there's a tendency in tech worlds to divorce like ourselves from the tech we're developing. And that's one thing I particularly love about Petra's approach in this whole project is, she showed you the whole list of her collaborators and took the time to, talk about them and honor them. And like you think of your favorite like video game, it's like, do you know like who developed this and why and who made the whatever, so the culture of not just crediting, but like honoring where these decisions came from, where this art came from, where these technical decisions came from is, I think, a really beautiful practice the tech world can and should, lean into.
It's interesting that you say that because I just remember that now that one of the people on the tech side are actually quite astonished that I mention Danny's name every time. Like that seems to be not a thing that people sometimes just take. I mean, I'm the director, obviously. Yes, fair enough. This is I'd come up with this idea, but of course, I would honor the team, but that doesn't seem to be a thing. Like it was made clear to me that it's very unusual, and I keep
Yeah.
mentioning the names of the people, like the name of the composer and all that kind of stuff. Danny, Mikkel, like all the people who are involved. Yes, so I didn't even know that that was a thing that you would somehow invisibilize your team. Bizarre to me, obviously it's a very collaborative process. I certainly wouldn't have no idea. I now know what the interface of Unity looks like, but it's about the size of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to work in my parents worked in the film industry, and there'd always be huge importance about credits at the end and giving credit to the credit
Exactly.
is due.
Yeah.
That always struck me as weird when I worked later in like UX design. I'd work on these big apps, and my name doesn't show up anywhere. What the heck? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Exactly. I think that's exactly you totally identifying the difference. I think I come from that other world where definitely, we do have the credits in there.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think we are at the top of the hour here. Hopefully, folks can stick around for a few more questions. But for the moment, I just definitely wanted to once again thank Dr. Kuppers, thank Dr. Murphy for coming today and sharing this awesome project with us, and ask everybody to give them another round of applause.
Yay. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
And yes,
thank
please
you.
be in touch. We are happy to come out. I'm on sabbatical, so I can come out. Okay. All right. Let's see. Does anybody else have a question? I think we're good to go, right?
I did have one more actually,
Yes,
which
go
was
for it.
that we talked about this ideally being in this kind of social circumstance with house parties and things like that, and having an access doula to help ease things in and out. When you're publishing it on the meta store, you don't have control over any of that
Right.
anymore, right? It's everybody's going to be doing it in their own space, their own circumstances. Um, are there any differences that you could take into account there in terms of the version you'd publish, or in terms of the advisories you give people on the description, saying like try to use this in a social space? Like how does that process work to help people who are experiencing it divorced from everything else that you've been able to arrange?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know yet, as I think the question, Dylan, is the
Hmm.
answer, I think. But we are very aware that we have to go give more like navigation info. So that's kind of the next thing that we're all working on. Like right now, we just wanted to get the audio version to be stable and actually workable. So I think we have a go on that one. And that's the next step now, is to create the full meta experience. I still think that's the nicest way to do it, is communally. So, and I will create some kind of intro where I'm mentioning that. But at the same time, we know that if you do happen to have a headset, you usually, yeah, you encounter it in the old school way of just sitting by yourself in a dark cave somewhere. So we have to get the navigation right for that. There will be invitations. I will, because like dream journeys are so much part of it. There will be times when I'm asking people to just touch what they're sitting on. What are you sitting on? What is it made up out of? What is the environment in which you're taking this in? So I will create various ways that at least allow you to be more thoughtful about the fact that you're an embodied human being in an embodied space, rather than this kind of spirit hanging out inside a headset. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's going to be the next really interesting thing. I'm excited to see where that goes. And we'll see how people respond to it. I mean, that's to be cool. But the house parties are the best fun way to do this. Thank you, Christopher. Yay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great. And if you
Well,
have any
Dylan,
pointers,
thanks
or
so
if
much.
you know any apps that have done anything like it, Dylan, I would love to know it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to think it through. I'm going to be rearranging our GitHub very soon, that has a lot of these types of resources, including some things to help with the accessibility. So
Yeah,
I
we've
put that
been
in chat.
watching some of your echolocation stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
I've been watching a whole bunch of your videos over the last year.
Yeah. I think scene weaving is still kind of the standout one for that.
In
They
weaving, yeah,
do
exactly.
really
I've got
cool
that
stuff.
one.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else have any questions here? All right. Well, if not, again, thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for speaking with us. And we'll have this talk up on YouTube soon, and share it for all the world to see.
Great. Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan.
You can
Goodbye.
put the slide deck with it, Dylan, if you want,
Yes,
then
will
people
do.
have all the info. Yeah, that'd be great. Lovely. And
All
thank you,
right.
Laura. This was so fun to do together. Thanks
Yeah,
for
this was fun.
sorting it out.
Take care.
Bye,
Thanks all.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.